Well, we got a lot to discuss. So you were with New England at a very interesting time. When they acquired Randy Moss, you were there for the last year and a few games.
Yeah.
So, and I think Randy's better than George Pickens, but I think both are spectacular talents that can be at times a bit moody and can be, by the way, confrontational. That's not terrible, but receivers tend to be outspoken. They're the NBA dudes of football. They break the huddle first. They're out on an island. They're often the best athlete. So when a player like Randy, there was that sideline blow up against like Miami, what does it do to what? Because Mike Tomlin just said, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, he kept AB for several years. When there is a combative player and you got a little bit of Randy, Bill moved off it fast, right? Like, did that happen overnight?
Yeah, I mean, there was a confrontation with, on the sideline in Miami. He was traded the next week, and that was my first moment in the NFL where you're like, damn, everyone's expendable.
Right.
Randy Moss just got cut, and Randy wasn't a problem like that, but what it was is we were in the gap of the dynasty, the old dynasty, in trying to develop the new team. And so there was a lot of young foundational players there that Bill probably didn't want that to be a seen thing that, hey, this is all right. So, he traded Randy Moss, and everyone in the locker room, straightened up right away.
Okay, I was going to say, so when Randy left, you lose the talent, but you did feel immediately a sort of the temperature came down.
Yeah, but this is also apples and oranges. We
Right.
had Tom Brady, who had 3 Super Bowls. We got Bill.
They don't know who their quarterback is.
We don't know who the quarterback is. You had you had a young Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez who were there at that point. Like, the team was changing already, so it wasn't like we just got jumped ship because he popped off. They clearly had a plan to go to that 12 personnel group, and that's what we ended up doing for the next few years. So I don't know how this Pickens deal is gonna turn out, because ultimately, I mean, Dak's had weapons. What makes Dak good is when he has a run game. That's the truth. And they didn't get a big time running back. I know they got a running back in the 5th, and they got the Williams kid out of Denver from last year. But that's a quarterback's best friend, is a run game. They have Ferguson, who's a hell of a tight end. They got CD, who's going to benefit hugely from Pickens if Pickens is down to play ball.
Can't roll over coverage on him now, yeah.
And I think Dak's going to be able to handle all that. But, I think they need to address the running back room. One of those guys got to come out of nowhere and play well. I'll never judge a draft pick lineman from the Cowboys. They know how to do that. So I'm sure that pick will be all right. But the running back thing is what ultimately concerns me the most about them.
So when Travis Hunter gets picked, we talk about how's he going to be in an offensive and a defensive meeting. Actually, when you came out, did you do that at New England?
Yeah, I did that my 3rd year. We were down at Star, so I started playing Star. And we got to put this in context, though. Star is the nickel. I was the nickel. Let's put this in context. I wasn't the best receiver on my team at that point in my career. I wasn't even sniffing the best corner on that team. So when I was going in, I was guarding the 5th to 6th best player, and I was getting guarded by the 4th, the 5th best guy on defense. This is completely different. So, and I had 2 years of offense already in my system. Okay. I knew the offense.
All right.
So on Thursdays, I would leave all the defensive meetings. I would have a defense. I would be in defense Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on certain third down periods or third down days, which is usually Thursday, I'd hop into the offensive group and go over my installation for my 4-wide group, my package for that third down package. But everything else, I had to get accustomed to corner because I never played it before. Now, if Travis is going to do this, he still has to develop into great one of these sides. And that takes time, that takes film, that takes reps at both, and that takes coaching at both. So it's going to be very tough, but I do think he could have packages. So he goes and plays corner the whole time. Maybe you have him on a red zone package. You have 6 to 8 plays that he's comfortable with. The quarterback's comfortable with throwing it to him. And that's another thing. You know, is the quarterback going to be comfortable throwing to a guy if he's in the defensive meetings all day? He's not asking questions when you're installing the plays. How are they going to do that? They're going to put in more time. There's collective bargaining agreement. You can't do that anymore. So, like, what are we going to do here? The time is the hardest part about this, and it's the preparation for playing both sides. And then, you know, you're not playing Colorado State defensive guys. You're playing the best guy in his conference in the NCAA when he played every single play. So, it's going to beat you up a little. So it's going to be a tough situation to go through. If there's a guy that can do it, it's Travis Hunter. But I think that they're going to have to pick one side. I don't know what side that is. And then give them packages on the other.
So I think the most improved team, I predicted last year it would be Washington. I got lucky on that.
Yeah.
This year I think it's New England.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think they bought about 5 starters and they drafted about 3. What did you see? I mean, usually there's a plan. You know, Vrabel, when you watch the draft, free agency, what was the plan you saw?
Well, clearly offense. First 3 picks. You go Will Campbell with the 4th overall pick. That's a huge, huge piece for them. They needed offensive line. They showed that they needed offensive line. They went out and drafted a guy with the 4th pick that they liked. They didn't wait and try to do something cute, trade back, do this, do that. They got the guy they wanted. And then they get Hendrickson in the 2nd round, Ohio State. I think him paired up with Josh McDaniels is going to be so big for the development of Drake May. All our Super Bowl teams, we had Shane Vereen, who had 13 catches out of the backfield, who was great with protections. We had James White, who had 15 catches in the Super Bowl, was great with protections. All I keep on hearing about this Hendrickson kid's great with protections, great with the ball in his hands. Him, Josh McDaniels, that's going to be great for Drake May. And then the 3rd round receiver, the Williams kid.
No. Have you seen him play? Dude, he's a dog.
I haven't, but I've asked all my guys.
He's great.
I keep on asking all my GM guys. I'm like, yo, what's this kid about? And they're like, dude, he's good.
He will start.
So, I was very excited with what they did in the draft and in the offseason, adding, tackle with Moses on the, veteran tackle to kind of help.
They got a center.
They got a center in the 4th. With Williams on the defensive side, they handled a bunch of that in free agency. It seems like they're spending their money. They're adding the right positions. Now they got to go out and prepare and execute it and do it.
There's a story out. True or not, Aaron would never admit to it, that Aaron Rodgers is waiting for the TV schedule to come out. Aaron did not want to do another Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, just like the NFL last year had Mahomes playing like everything but Tuesday.
I can assure him the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be playing every.
It's funny because Kirk Cousins, legendary, didn't like it. Manning, Peyton didn't like it. How was Brady knowing, creature of habit, that his schedule now, it's Sunday night again? How did you guys handle? Because you didn't play in the 1 o'clock window much.
No, and you loved playing in those 1 o'clock windows.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everyone does, because you get up, go game. You get to watch the 4 o'clocks on the way home. It's just an easier schedule. But, that was one thing, no one batted an eye with in New England. What time we played, when we played.
You like the 1 o'clocks.
Everyone likes the 1 o'clocks. But I also like the night games. That's when everyone was watching you. That's when the show was all about you. That's when you could go and show the world what you were about. So, it's a double-edged sword. But, this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, the more I think about it, man, maybe he is really just that much smarter, where he's probably going to land into, like, some team that gets a hurt quarterback that he really likes. You know what I mean? At first, I was so on the fence. Like, why wouldn't he sign somewhere? We saw his time in the Jets that he struggled with being on the same chemistry page with his receivers, which is developed through organized team activities, mini camps, off season. You need those practices. So why is he doing it again? And then, hey, the draft, they didn't draft a quarterback. They should get rid of the other guy. Maybe he falls into something else he wants. I don't know. He's very unpredictable. I know you think he's predictable, though, right?
No, I think Aaron thinks he's unpredictable, but Aaron wants to control things. He likes control, and he wants you to think that you don't know anything. He goes out of his way to say Schefter doesn't know what he's doing, and Diana Rossini. He tries too hard. It's like when people say, I don't care if people like me. if you're trying too hard to say that, you really care that people like you. When you're trying too hard to say, nobody knows. I think he's fairly predictable that he's going to want 2 or 3 things. He didn't want Pickens around. He probably wants Allen Lazard. And, he probably wants to make sure he's not on 7, games at Sunday night and Thursday night.
For me, it's just, if you're a quarterback, I would want as much time
So do I.
On task with the players as you could have, just because it's going to be I know he's probably Arthur Smith's their OC.
Yeah.
He's a West Coast guy. He's going to know the terminology and stuff, but it's more of like learning the body mechanics of your guys, having them learn his cadence, which is an ultimate tool, but very hard to learn. Cadence is not easy. Like, that takes this time to get used to. So regardless of where he goes, I hope he goes quick because it's fun to talk about him.
I was thinking about this. Matt Stafford took $20 million less to stay with the Rams.
Smart.
Obviously. In New England, when you guys took less than your market value, did the team, did they say, Julian, we'll give you a better parking spot? Was there ever any team guilt that, Mr. Kraft knew that you could have gone elsewhere, you had a market, you played for a little, sometimes a lot less? Did they ever give you a pizza on Friday night for the fam? Or it's just like, hey, bro, you're part of the culture. Take pay cuts.
I think we're just part of the culture.
Really?
We're just part of the culture. And you couldn't say anything because,
Tom was taking cuts.
Tom was taking a cut, so no one could say anything. But, with the Stafford situation, I completely understand taking less money in this part of his career. It's a whole process. Especially when you're comfortable somewhere. He's at this age, he's 37, 38, whatever he is. Does he want to uproot his family that probably loves it here? Does he want to go and learn a completely new offense? Does he want to learn a completely new roster of names? I mean, there's something comfortable about going to the janitor that for the last 8 years and having a conversation with George. That's comfort, And that's what I loved about New England. When I drove in, I had the same lady wave to me for 12 years. And that made me feel at home, So at this point in his career, I can completely understand. He loves he knows the coach that he's with is a viable coach that knows how to dial up plays. Snead's going to get him players. They've shown that they can draft players. They're bringing in tools for him. I mean, this is a good spot. I mean, he's made a lot of money. How much do you need?
That's right.
How much do you need?
I mean, how much do Sour Patch Kids cost? I mean, it's who cares?
I mean, he's made a lot of money.
Oh, he's made like 400 large or something. Hey, Shedeur Sanders, a little cocky, falls in the draft, gets humbled. When you're a veteran and you walk into a locker room and there's a kid, he's a draft pick.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a little tood. Did guys like to humble him? I mean, was that something that was discussed among veterans?
We had Tim Tebow come into our camp, and I remember to play backup quarterback. And I remember the first day he came in, the media was just like through the roof. This is like OTAs, and it's like a Super Bowl media.
That didn't last very long.
Didn't last very long, and it was a lot. But he was humble about it. He was a humble kid about it, and he was in the locker room cool about it. And I'm sure Shedeur is going to be a different guy when there's a guy who's been playing on that team for 10 years, making $30 million and say, hey, Rook, hey, let's be seen, not heard. Like, that's the kind of stuff.
Yeah, Myles Garrett has a way of influencing you.
Let's be seen, let's not be heard, buddy. That's the kind of thing that the older guys used to say to us.
Okay, it was announced this week, finally, Julian, you were voted into the Patriots Hall of Fame, which is incredible. And I saw the video with your father. Take me back to the first game. It was a 4-year journey to really become.
Yeah.
Take me back first to the minute you made the team and the call with your dad.
It was a weird situation because my first preseason game, Wes didn't play. It was Tom's first game back from the ACL, so they wanted to get him some game reps. He wanted to get game reps. And so Wes didn't play. I caught a few balls from him. And that was a big thing. And I housed a punt, and I had a kickoff tackle to open the game. So I was making plays. But then the next game, I sprained my foot, and I was out for the next 3 weeks. So I was up in the air. I didn't know if I was making the team.
Wow.
And Billy O'Brien's over here playing with me like, Buffalo week 1. Hopefully you're there for the messing with me, but knew I was going to make the team. So I didn't really have that moment where like, hey, you made the team. We went into week 1, and in New England, there's still parts moving throughout the year. So I never really called my dad and told him, hey, Dad, I made the team. I said, Dad, I'm still around right now. Okay, so I'll let you know. If I call you the next time, it's probably because I'm coming home.
But there was a moment at some point in your and Tom's relationship where you could sense he trusted you. That's big for Tom.
Yeah.
When was that?
I would say probably that the week 1 Buffalo game in 2013, where, Gronk blew out his back. We signed Amendola. He ripped out his adductor. And Hernandez was gone by then, so there was no one else to really throw to, and so he kind of had to. And then we balled out. We won that game, and that's when I felt like the trust was really coming. Now I put in a whole lot of sweat equity with them years before that in the off season, and there was a trust, but the trust didn't come until you saw it in like a real game.
Yeah.
And it had to be seen in practice for you even to get an opportunity in the game. So and it wasn't like you just got it. You had to continually earn it. And that's something he always said. He never said, hey, you don't just trust someone. You got to continue to earn the trust. And that's through the preparation. That's through the practice. That's through the reps. And, it was very, very cool for me. And it's a blessed experience to get to go into an environment like that.
Yeah.
Because you become a product of your people.
You had a market you could have played again. Do you remember where you were when you just decided, I'm going to shoot that video at the 50-yard line. I'm retiring a Patriot?
Yeah, I was in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I was in Austin, Texas, and I remember calling my dad, and I was like nervous to tell him like my knee wasn't really responding, and I just got an opinion that they wanted to potentially do like a microfracture surgery. I'm 34 years old, 3 Super Bowls. I'm like, we're good. Microfracture is 12-month recovery, and that's just to potentially get the cartilage to calm down or something like that. And so I called my dad, and it was, I needed to have his validation that it was okay. And, that was it.
What's it mean to be a Hall of Famer?
For this organization, which could be argued the best organization over the last 20 years, no one will have that kind of success. Being a kid that grew up around an organization like that in the San Francisco 49ers, to be associated with some of the greats that are in the Hall of Fame, the Tom Bradys, the Ben Coates, the Kevin Falks, the Vrabels. It's an absolute honor. And it's pretty cool because I can remember the first day, getting there, just looking at my helmet in my blue locker, because you had to earn your real locker. You didn't get real lockers. You had blue lockers in the middle for the rookies. And I would stay there all night. I never had free Gatorade shakes. I was at Kent State. So I would stay there and use all the facilities, and I would just look at my helmet and like, man, I'm on this team. That's crazy.
What's the singular thing, the singular gift your dad gave you, the message that you will take forever?
No sniveling. That's what he always says. Even if you come up short on something, if something goes wrong, there's no sniveling. Okay, get to work. You work your way out of stuff. That's it. Through your preparation, adjust, adapt. He used to say or die. Now and overcome. He's grown up a little, but just a hardworking guy, that a self-made man. That the real respect is for people that wake up at like 5 a.m. and work till 5 a.m. doing something they don't love,
right?
But that they have to do for their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's like That's what I've taken from him for 45 years, from what I can remember. You know what I mean?
Congrats, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's awesome.
Julian Edelman.